Alright, it's time for the solutions for the slope of the secant line worksheet. So as you get to this first part, hopefully you read the above description and you're right here, this, the line that goes underneath there in the middle, that's runner A. I don't know why on here it says dotted line, because they didn't do a dotted line. Anyway, on this first question, which one is the faster average speed for the first 9 seconds? So when you're trying to get average speed, you only have to look at your start and your end point and get your change in X and your change in Y, and it's just rise over run. And so if you're trying to figure out which one has a faster average speed, you just have to look at where they start and where they end. If they start and end at the same point, so they have the same X, Y value, same Y value, they're going to have the same average speed. So they both have the same. They both have the same. And that brings us to 2. Which runner has a faster average speed between 9 and 20 seconds? That's between here and here. So notice here at the end, we do have a difference. The runner A, the lower one here, is, well, lower. And so he actually has a slower average speed because he didn't go up as far as the other guy. So it'd be runner B, who has a faster average speed. But now we need to figure out who is faster from 20 to 30. So here's where we start, and here's where from 20 to 31. They end at the same point, and so you have to think about their rise over run, their slope. This top one rose about that much and ran that much, but the other one had to rise more and had the same run, and so runner A actually had to go faster in order to catch up to runner B. And which runner was faster average speed between 9 and 31 seconds? So that's between these points here. Well, they start and end at the points the same for each other, and so they actually have the same average speed. And that brings us to 5. Which runner wins the race, and how do you know? Well, if you read the above description, it tells you it's only a 400-meter race, and so that's the top line, and you just have to figure out which one gets there first. And if you look at it right here, that runner got there before this one. That one took about 50 seconds. The one on the left took, what, 37, 38 seconds. And so runner A, that's that line, is actually the one that got there first. And he got there first because that's what the graph says. This one has him getting to 400, a Y value of 400, at about 37:38, whereas on runner B it was about 50 seconds. And that brings us to the bottom. We're supposed to get the slope of the secant line between the given points. You can just figure out your rise over run. That's a rise of 3, run of 2. So you're looking at a rise of 3 over 2. The run is 2. This one's got a rise over here of going up 7 and right 3. So my slope is going to be 7 over 3. Remember, it's always rise over run. And on this one, always go from left to right, so this one's down to right 1, or negative 2 over 1, which happens to be the same thing as negative 2. And when you get over to 4, again, make sure you go from the left point to the right one. He has to go down, I believe that's 7, and then right 3. So that's going to be a slope of negative 7/3. And by the way, on all of these ones, the slope you're getting is the slope of the line that's going through those points. So if we were to draw a line that goes just through those 2 points, it'd be looking like these ones. And that's the slope we're getting, the slope of that line that goes through just those 2 points. If I could actually get this right. Okay, and over here we got a line going through those points. And this one is a drop of 3 and going right 2. So down 3, right 2, and then on 6 lines this one, going through those 2 points, and you have to go up 3, 1, 2, 3, and then right 1. So it's a slope of 3 over 1, and that's up through 6. And then we got this one where you start out with 25 beetles, and so at week 0 your starting amount is going to be 25, and the amount of beetles doubles each week. And so when you take that 25, if you want to double it, you'll get the next week. If you double that, you'll get the next week. So 50 doubles 100. Double that, you'll get 200. If you double that, you'll get 400. If you double that, you'll get 800. And that's quite a few beetles. But, you know, you might not notice depending on how big the warehouse is. You need to get the average growth rate between weeks 1 and 3. That's between these ones here. Remember, if you want to get your growth rate, you have to get the difference in the y's. That's 200 minus 50. And you got the difference in x's. That's going to be 3 minus 1 there. And so you're looking at 200 minus 50 over 3 minus 1. And that's going to give you 150. Oh, yeah, it's 150 over 3, which will get you, well, if you divide that by 3, you're just going to get 50, or 50 over 1. So that's my average growth rate between 1 and 3 weeks. And B, we need to get the average growth rate between 0 and 5. So just like the one we just did, we have to do our ending amount, subtract the starting amount, and divide by the difference in the weeks. So you're looking at 775 divided by 5, which I believe gives you some, let me see what I get. Alright, that gives you 155. And so there we go. There's our difference between the average growth rate between those. And we need to do C here. And you need to get the average growth rate. Well, figure out which one's higher. Well, the higher one is the average growth rate between weeks 0 and 5. Excellent. So there's that. And then that you're supposed to answer why do you think it's higher. So make sure you answer that. And it's this progression here is well, it's geometric, but it's exponential growth. This doubling amount each time. If you notice, you get exponential function there. And so if you each time you double, you're getting a bigger difference as you consecutively double your numbers. And so when you include from 0 to 5, you have more opportunities for doubling than just between 1 and 3. Anyway, that brings us to the bottom, and it looks like right here, hold on one second. Sorry about that, it looked like I had done it already. Anyway, so when you're trying to figure out the slope of the secant line between two x values, you're going to take those x values, and I just throw them in a table, and then figure out the y values that go with them. So if you take -2 for your x, and put it where the x is in our function, you evaluate that. You got to do -2 plus 1 first, which gives you -1. And 2 to the -1 power is 1/2. And when you add 1, you're looking at 3/2. And so that's giving you y here, 3/2. And then on this next one, you got to put in 3. So do 2 to the 3rd plus 1. And then you got the plus 1 on the end. 3 plus 1 is 4. 2 to the 4th is 16. Add 1 gives you 17. And so that's how I got 17. Now if you want to get the slope, it's the change in y's over the change in x's. That is if you do 17 minus 3/2 and divide that by 3 minus -2, you'll be getting a 5 on bottom, and then you're looking at like 15.5 or 15.5 depending on what you got. And when you take that and you play and calculate and you do some simplifying so it doesn't have a decimal in it, you'll get 31/10. And that's going to be your answer. If you jump over to 9, again, I'm just going to make a table because I need to get the y values that go with these x ones. So it starts at 1, ends at 4. I'm going to take each of those numbers and plug it in. So I got 0.5 times 2 to the 1 plus 1 power. Well, 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 to the 2nd is 4. And you got to do half of that. That's what 0.5 is. And so half of 4 is going to give me 2. So 2 is going to go there. And when you plug in the other number, which is 4, 2 to the 4th plus 1, 4 plus 1 is 5, 2 to the 5th is 32. Half of that is going to give me 16. So that's my y value. And if I want to get the slope, you gotta get the difference of y's, 16 minus 2, and put that over the difference in x's, which is 4 minus 1, which will give you 14 over 3. So my slope is just going to be 14 thirds. And we jump over to 10. Again, take your x values for your interval, put them here, and you got to plug them in to your function to figure out what the y values are. So we do 3 to the negative 0 plus 2 power. Well, negative 0 plus 2, well, negative 0 is just 0. 0 plus 2 gives me 2. 3 squared is 9, so that's my y value. And now if I take 2 and plug it in, I'm going to do 3 to the negative 2 plus 2, which is 0. 3 to the 0 power is just 1, so there's my 1. And now I need to get the difference in y's, put that over the difference in x's, so 1 minus 9 over 2 minus 0. Make sure you do the same order. Notice how the 1 and 2 are what I started with, and then the second ones are 9 and 0. You have to make sure you do it in the right order. Anyway, that gives you negative 8 over 2, which simplifies just to be negative 4. And that brings us to 11. Again, get your x and y table going. I'm just trying to figure out the y values that go with these x's. My x values are 1 and 4. I'm going to plug them in. Negative 2 to the first power plus 5. And then I got negative 2 to the fourth power plus 5. And on these ones, the negative is not involved in the exponential part, so do that first. Then put in the exponential portion of it. So if you do 2 to the first, that's 2, but the negative version, so this is going to be negative 2, add 5 is going to give me 3. And then on this one, 2 to the fourth is 16. The negative version of that's negative 16, and when you add the 5, you're looking at negative 11, so we got negative 11. And now my difference in y's over my difference in x's, so negative 11 minus 3 over 4 minus 1 is going to give me negative 14 over 3. So I'm looking at negative 14 thirds. And brings me to 12. Again, get your x and y table going. Plug in these x's of negative 3 and 1. So you need to do negative 2 to the negative 3 plus 3 power, and then add 5 on the end. Oh, negative 3 plus 3 is 0, 2 to the 0 powers, 1, negative 1, plus the 5 is going to give me 4, so that's my y value. And then when you take 1 and you plug it in, you have to do 1 plus 3, which is 4, 2 to the fourth is 16, negative 16 plus 5 is going to give me negative 11 again. And notice how these are like the same numbers as last time. And now we got negative 11 minus 4 over 1 minus negative 3. Well, negative 11 minus 4 is just negative 15. 1 minus negative 3 is positive 4. So we got negative 15 fourths. And then our last one, get your x and y. 0, 5, plug them in. 4 to the 0 power minus 3. It's just 1 minus 3, so that's negative 2. And then 4 to the 5th power minus 3. Well, 4 to the 5th is 1024. If you minus 3, you got 1021. So that's kind of unfortunate. But you still get the difference in y's. Difference in x's, put it over that, so you got 1021 minus negative 2. And then 5 minus the 0 is going to give me 1023 over 5, and that's my slope. And that's the end.